Rise of Mech has come to Hearthstone. 2 cards from the Boom-Zooka expansion are getting buffed for all 9 classes. On top of this, a brand new legendary Snip Snap is being given out to all players logging in during this in-game event. On the latest episode of the Angry Chicken podcast, we talked about what decks were making the biggest waves in the aftermath of Dr. Boom's upgrades. There's a whole lot of mech going on, folks.
Yeah, and Snip Snap is, like you said, it's just pervasive. It's everywhere. But the fact that you can also magnetize it and you can echo it, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's good, y'all. It's
and
good.
it has a Deathrattle too, so it's not even just...
Well, yeah, no, you can just drop it on turn 3.
Yeah.
Do nothing with it, but just play it, and it's just good.
Yeah.
Well, let's go in class order and talk about Druid first. Token Druid is still very, very popular, still very much works for the climb, and some of them are running Snip Snap now.
So I've been playing a little bit since last night, and I started to see galvanizers and stuff in the Token Druid, so they were actually basically just going with a pure mech package and then throwing in just like some of the other token things, right? So
yeah, there's even Harvest Golem.
There's Harvest Golem in so many
Yeah.
decks right now. As for Hunter, as kind of expected, Mech Hunters are playing Snip Snap, and it's working. I played a couple games with Mech Hunter today. Really like Snip Snap in this because, hey, did you guys ever find yourself with a board full of bombs and you're like, this is good, but it could be better? Late game echo on Snip Snap when you just have a bunch of bombs and nothing else on your board, it's disgusting.
wondering though how much the Necromancer is going to come into play, because I still haven't really seen people putting that in yet, and it seems like that should just be in there now, right? Because having like the bombs go off twice,
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, having like spider bombs going off twice, killing 2 things. That seems really good in a meta where Mage is out there, right? It seems like it should get a slot, but I don't know. I haven't really seen people do it yet.
It doesn't seem to be very popular in the kind of specifically Mech Hunter deck. It is getting slotted into this like Deathrattle Mech Hunter decks.
Yeah, there's like a pure Deathrattle Hunter that's running.
It's running like Oblivitron.
All that stuff.
Yeah, Mechanical Web has actually found a place for Oblivitron. Like that's running Necromechanic. And
They have Fireworks Tech too, which I think is a really cool card.
yeah, and it's a popular deck, so there's actually a lot of games logged if you're looking at your stats websites, and it's doing well. It has a good win rate.
So it's just not in the super aggressive version.
Right. The thing is, though, like this is Hunter, man. Like they're just good. They have so many good archetypes right now, and all of them are working.
Yeah, you can do Secret Hunter. You can still do mid-range Beast Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever, and they're all gonna get you to somewhere in that range of like 55-ish%. I couldn't help myself. Like once I remembered about Flark's Boom-Zooka, I went and I made a Flark's Boom-Zooka deck. I'm gonna revisit it on stream at some point. And I was winning some games with it. Basically the idea was that I would Flark's Boom-Zooka and then Revenge of the Wild is 2 mana, and it brings back all the beasts that died this turn. And then what I would do is I would try to get a Tundra Rhino and then put Dire Frenzy on it, right? So then you'd have more Tundra Rhinos that are buffed, and then I would play the Boom-Zooka. All of them would come out, they would attack things, and then I would Revenge of the Wild, then they'd come back again, but now they all have charge and go space. Yeah. Yeah. And
how did that work out for you?
Well, I won a lot of games, but not with the Boom-Zooka. The Boom-Zooka never mattered. I won a lot of games just by like playing Hunter cards.
It will get asked for, Dills, so you need to link the deck in the show notes. I know folks are going to be asking for it. Take a look at Mage. The buffs were to Unexpected Results and Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Luna's Pocket Galaxy picking up one of the larger mana reductions in these buffs.
Yeah, I feel like that 2 mana change was quite an impactful one. It made it a possible inclusion where before it was just like, no, too expensive, won't work, has to be a very specific deck. And now it's like, I have this deck that's already doing a thing, and it would be super cool if then that thing I'm trying to do just cost 1. So can I find a slot? Yeah, maybe.
So I'm seeing people play, like there's a version out there that's got Jepetto Joy Buzz and the Pocket Galaxy, and it's got like Caligos and all this stuff. Because basically, like, even if you Jepetto Joy Buzz out like one of these minions, and then you conjures calling them, I believe they come back as their original cost minions. So even if they like ended up costing 1, they then become their original version when you conjure and call them. So I mean, I guess that's really the reason why this makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
And also, if do you have the ability to play a 5-mana Luna's Pocket Galaxy where 7 mana just meant, first of all, I had to wait too long. I probably drew the cards I wanted, and now I have to spend an entire turn 7 on this? Like, no, that's ridiculous. But now maybe you can like do it on turn 5 if you're not super far behind, not be super dead, and then you have things like Frost Nova and Blizzard and stuff. You can slow the game down at that point, and then really insanely powerful turns. So
let's talk about Paladin, which we've mentioned a decent amount. This is what I've played the most of since the patch went live, because I have been abstaining from my favorite class in Hearthstone for a little while now, but I couldn't help myself now. I had to go try Mech Paladin after the Crystology change. And if anything in this lineup of buffs feels a little strong, to me, it's Crystology.
Well, yeah, because if you think about what it does in this Mech Paladin deck, it pulls out Glotrons, Skaterbots, but most importantly, it pulls out Galvanizer. You can Crystology out your Galvanizers. There's also Bronze Gatekeeper, I think is the last one.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah,
it's got 1 attack.
I mean, these are all magnetic cards that do stuff, or Galvanizer, which makes all your magnetic. Yeah, like if you galvanize on 2 with this deck, then on 4 you're dropping Coppertail Imposter or Noyo Module or something like that, and then on 5 you're like war gearing them or dropping a Mechano Egg to then buff later. Like, it's just crazy how fast you build up. And I found this deck, one of the most impressive things about it is the burst potential of this deck is insane. You get anything to stick, and all of a sudden you got to start adding up your damage. Because
there's so much magnetic. Like this is what I thought magnetic was going to feel like when they when they showed it in Boomsday almost a year ago now. I was just like, oh, cool. So we're going to kind of build up our board, and then we're going to magnetic multiple minions and send it.
I think we're going to start having to see a lot more single target removal come back into the game.
I was going to say potentially silence, because there's like nobody running any silence right now.
No, it's like not anywhere at all. Not even nowadays. Yeah, I think we're going to have to see something. I don't know if it's going to be Spellbreakers or if people are going to start running the Owls, but you're right.
Kind of glossed over Glowstone Technician, but it's also in this deck. That was the other card that was buffed for Paladin. It's not uncommon in the few games I played to feel safe enough to just be like, sure, I'll play a Glowstone Tech. I've got enough power on board already.
Well, you've got the comeback potential with this deck, because what you do is like you Crystology out a Skaterbot or a Glowtron or something like that, right? And then you Glowstone Technician those, and then now suddenly those are like legit magnetics for 1 mana, right? And Skaterbot giving the mech rush means I can play something, buff it +3/+3 for 1 mana, and then kill one of your things, and my thing is still there, and it's going to get magnetized again next turn. It's like that, just how much that potentially gives you that kind of board flipping mechanic, right? Like, which is so crucial to winning games. It's definitely worth a spot in this deck.
As for Shaman, the Stormbringer is down to 6 mana. Thunderhead is a 3/6 up from a 3/5. Thunderhead was already seeing play. It was in some control shamans, as well as a variant of Murloc that I know, Dills, you multiple times mentioned on the show is your preferred way to play Murloc Shaman. And, getting 1 more health just means it's just better than it was before. And I have seen plenty of Thunderheads today already as a result of this buff. But surprising to me is that Stormbringer there's that control-oriented Murloc Shaman. There's another variant of that now that's including Stormbringer.
It's interesting, though, because basically what you can do now with Shaman is, like, these buffs support each other, right? I think this is one of the reasons why these buffs are going to work out is when you buff Thunderhead, it makes Stormbringer already better, right? Because it's a token generation. And then you also then buff Stormbringer, so you're just like, hey, look, like now they're both sweet because they just got slightly better, and they were actually both like maybe kind of okay already. And you've got things Kagadar and Chad just said, Soul of the Murloc, right? Because Soul of the Murloc just means your board will just stick around, right? So it's almost like you can run like Bloodlust and Stormbringer, and then like the Stormbringer is like a Bloodlust you can use when you don't just have lethal. Like you can just use it, and I like it because I think Shaman was close but not quite there before. The Murlocs obviously were pretty good, but I think this brings a new archetype just into the mix, right? And I think that's what we want. We just want more decks out there.
Anyways, that's gonna do it for the show. So anyways, we're at almost 2 hours now. Dills, where can people find you?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills, and twitch.tv/Willie Dills is where I'll be streaming some of these new fun decks this week.
Jocelyn, what about you? Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays.
Folks, I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You can find me on there rambling about all sorts of nerdy things. Mention A-Move TV. Go check it out because there's a lot of other podcasts out there. If you like Heroes of the Storm, Into the Nexus is still going strong. Till next week, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.